After my first enlistment, I attended college and did poorly enough to want to go back in the Army. When I got out of the Army for the second and final time, I went back to college. Now on my second attempt, I was older and better prepared. I was happy to find out that somehow during my first attempt, I was able to complete all my prerequisites for the mortuary science program and was matriculated. I had become interested in becoming a funeral director after being housed in a barracks with mortuary affairs students during my training to become a parachute rigger. They would tell me stories of what they were learning, and I thought, now that's a job I can do. One of my classes was called anatomy. The course started with us studying and dissecting the skin. As the course progressed, we worked our way deeper into the body. On the day we were to examine the brain, I volunteered to use the bone saw. The bone saw is just like the device that removes a cast. It has difficulty cutting through soft tissue, but it will saw through bone as it vibrates faster than your mom's toys. I spent the first couple of minutes removing the final pieces of tissue that were still stuck to the skull. I did my best, but there was still a little flesh. I said fuck it and fired up the bone saw. I began to saw across the forehead to remove the skull cap and expose the brain. It's a lot harder than it looks. I began to sweat almost immediately, and my hands became tired. The remaining tissue was making it more difficult than anticipated. I was leaning over the cadaver to apply more pressure when a little speck of flesh came flying up off the saw and straight into my mouth. It happened so fast that no one saw. But I definitely knew. It tasted like rotten chemicals. I should have spit it out, but it was in the back of my throat, and I didn't want to make a scene, so I just swallowed it. Shortly after, I handed over the bone saw to the next volunteer, and we eventually removed the skull cap and pulled out the brain to have a look. This wouldn't be the last time I've had a dead person in me. On a different day in a different class, I was getting a body ready for embalming. I needed to turn the body to remove a bedsheet from underneath. I stood at the head and reached across the body to grab the shoulder and turned the emaciated body towards me. As I was reaching for the sheet, I was met with a very cold and wet sensation around my dick. It felt like I pissed myself with cold water. I set the body back down, and as I do, I see blood and other body fluids pouring from the cadaver's mouth. That liquid had to have gotten in my pee hole. I went to the bathroom to wash my cock and take a piss. The uniforms and lab coats we wore were not waterproof and provide no protection against such occurrences. The lab coat I wore was a special one. It was a gift from the professors. Since I was a little hefty at the time, the XXL size was able to hide my bulbous physique. The coat was worn by a professor who had recently died and was said to be haunting the embalming room. After these two instances with cadavers, I decided that being a funeral director would be my backup plan, and I resigned myself to blue-collar work after graduation.
Subscribe to it like just a random message, motherfucker!